Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Friday edition of Game On here on News Central Television. My name is Babatunde Koiki. Always a pleasure to have you on the show because for the next 1 hour, we will be talking about all the latest sports news that is going on all across the world, especially as it concerns Nigeria and also the major talking points in the world of sports over the last 24 hours, and of course, projecting forward into the weekend where there's some fantastic sporting highlights you were looking forward to. Of course, you can also join us live on YouTube. Yes, we are streaming live on YouTube, and of course also on our social media handles as well. The handle is there on your screen at News Central TV, which means wherever in the world you're joining us from, Asia, North America, Scandinavia, even down under, you can join us on this show using those handles. Welcome once again. It's again a two-man show. I'm not looking a gift horse in the mouth. I don't know what's going on, but he's showing that he's a consistent star on this show. That's 2 days in a row where it's just me and Wale Adigun on the show. Thank you so much again for joining us.
Yeah.
It's Friday, and I'm sure, like everyone else, you're looking forward to the weekend for sporting reasons.
Oh, yeah. And it's good to be here again, doing this with you. The Jamaicans used to say that if the song is sweet, they play it again.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Doing it again. It's a great weekend. It's a great weekend for combat sports, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, if you love your combat sports, man, this is the perfect weekend for you. You don't even need the football. Forget about the Champions League final. So it's a decent weekend to go into. And I can't wait to dig into all of the biggest stuff.
And don't forget, there's also the MOC Grand Prix also going on in Lagos right now. Athletes from 10 different countries, Europe, Asia, and Africa, are currently in Nigeria at the Yabatech Sports Complex. They're all fighting it out for a last-ditch attempt to qualify for the Olympic Games as well. We'll be bringing you sights and sounds of all that on Monday as it unfolds tomorrow at the Yaba College of Technology. It all started today, but the main action is tomorrow. The main action when the finals of the track and field events will be taking place. Great news now coming out of Kigali, Rwanda. We can tell you that River Hoopers, the Kingsmen, Nigeria's representatives in this year's Basketball Africa League, have finished third in the competition. River Hoopers just earlier today defeated Cape Town Tigers 85-57, a proper blowout, ending in third place in their second campaign in the Basketball Africa League. I am absolutely ecstatic. The people of River State are also ecstatic. And Wale, you might not look it, but I'm sure you're also ecstatic as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is massive. I think that this is Nigeria's biggest basketball achievement internationally in recent times. Ending third in Africa's biggest basketball competition, club competition, is what should be celebrated amongst the basketball confraternity in Nigeria. And the big boys came to play once again. And that's why I wished that we got Cape Town Tigers in the quarters. Maybe our journey to the final might have been a bit different. Because all due respect to them, I thought that they were a team that we could have handled pretty well. We did well. Kelvin Amayo top scored 25 points. Divine AK
single quarter.
Oh yeah, Divine AK scored 20 points as well. Will Perry also contributed about 16 to 17 points. It was a complete performance. I think the first quarter ended 25-8. We restricted them to 8 points in the first quarter. So that was how good we really were. And I'm happy for Ogo Daudu. This is massive for him. I'm happy for Queen as well.
Yes, our own Queen.
Queen, who has been definitely our eyes.
Majesty the Queen, who is, of course, the media officer of River Super.
She's been our eyes and ears in Kigali, and I think that they can come back with cheer, and I believe the River State government will definitely probably have plans for them because this is a massive achievement. This is historical on all levels. No Nigerian side has done this well at the BAL, and that means that for the first time in BAL history, we can go into the next edition knowing that we fully, exactly. Every time we've gone down, they've like, let's just give them a slot so they come. But this time around, we'll be coming big. And I think for River Hoopers, it's good for them because it also puts them in a good shape going into the league.
The league.
They are the best team right now.
Next month, yes.
And any team that comes up against them in the league has to be scared, although there are question marks with the likes of Will Perry, Kelvin Amayo be able to play the league.
No.
But you guys think that even what these guys have done have set a good foundation. For a strong performance in the league.
Especially in the Atlantic Conference. But just looking at their performance at this year's Basketball League Africa, what can we learn from how Rivers United have basically, executed their campaign and also finishing third? What can we learn?
Preparation, They've taken preparation very seriously. this time around. I'm not saying they haven't prepared well in other editions, but this time around, I thought they took it to another level. And interestingly, almost all of their preparation has also been done on the home front. They played a couple of invitationals, which I don't think was enough.
Actually.
It was just one.
In Lagos,
but they put emphasis on camping in Lagos here. And crucially, you cannot take away the impact the foreign guys brought into the team.
Very true.
In fact, the core of this team was based around Will Perry, who has been standard for them this season in the BAL, Kelvin Amayo, Divine AK as well. Those three have come up big for them in crucial moments.
If that means we are adding recruitment alongside the preparation.
Yeah, recruitment has been really good. It's been really massive. Even other BAL teams have also recruited. I mean, the BAL is considered of players from the NBA G League, NBA D League, even the NBA itself, the NCAA.
The BAL Academy as well.
we know that, but theirs has been really good. I think Kevin Amayo came from Canada for Rivers Hoopers. But also another thing we've learned with Rivers Hoopers is that, what the foreign guys bring, they take it to another level technically. Trust me, because if this foreign guy is allowed to play in the league, they will win the league in the counter. They bring another level, and I'm hoping that has been transmitted to the home base players in Rivers Hoopers.
I'm sure they must have
You cannot take it away. You cannot take away what these guys have brought to the team. And I'm hoping that other NBAs, other local sites can take lessons. Because remember, the winner of the league will be the one that gets the tickets to the BAL next season.
Yes.
And you've seen how Rivers Hoopers have set the standard.
Okay, we'll be watching Rivers Hoopers in the upcoming MBBF League later this year. It starts this next month. But congratulations to Rivers Hoopers, the Kingsmen, who have finished third in this season's Basketball Africa League. Let's move on from basketball to boxing, where Nigeria's Zainab Adeshina has qualified for the quarterfinals of the women's 50-kilogram class at the boxing second World Qualification Tournament currently holding in Bangkok, Thailand. In a repeat of the 2024 Africa Games semi-final clash, Adeshina defeated Grace Fambule of Liberia 5-0 to move into the next round. She will face Hanan Nasser of Jordan, who defeated Mariona Savrieva of Azerbaijan 4-1. Adeshina is the only Nigerian boxer to have won a bout at the ongoing tournament after the exits of Ifeanyi Onyekwere earlier this week in the men's 92 kilogram plus class and Blessing Orakwe, the women's 66 kilogram class. However, she could be joined tomorrow by the highly rated Patricia Umbata, who faces Vivian Pereira of Brazil in the women's 75 kilogram class tomorrow. So there is still a possibility that we could add to the 4 boxers who have already qualified for the Olympic Games later this year. So congratulations to our very own Zainab Adeshina. I will be keeping our fingers crossed, hoping against hope that this lady here, that's Patricia Mbata, who's doing brilliantly well and is also highly favored as well. She could make it to the Olympic Games as well. Okay, moving on very quickly to some athletics. Well, Akani Simbine of South Africa finished just off the world lead en route to winning in the men's 100 meters at the Oslo Diamond League. The South African's 9.94 seconds was just shy of Christian Miller's 9.93, helping him to victory yesterday in a loaded men's field that featured reigning Olympic champion Marcel Jacobs of Italy. The Italian looked strong, but eventually finished in 4th place with 10.03 seconds. Abdul Hakim Sani Brown finished in 9.97 seconds. Emmanuel Eseme in 10.01 seconds, finishing 2nd and 3rd respectively. And it's the 2nd Diamond League triumph for Simbine this season, who captured the title in Suzhou. That was in China on the 27th of April, where he clocked 10.01 seconds. So this year's 100 meters at the Olympic Games, Wale, it is going to be blockbuster. Right now, there is honestly no one that I don't think there's any standout athlete. Maybe three or four. But back in the day, unit was just going to be Usain Bolt. It's
but right now, I love it.
Pretty open.
Yeah, I was watching
Marcel Jacobs when he won. Like nobody gave him a chance.
Yeah, I was watching the Oslo Diamond League highlights yesterday, and I looked at the lineup, and I mean Akani. 9.94, I think, was just short.
There he is, Olympic champion Marcel Jacobs.
Marcel Jacobs.
4th.
Yeah, he's coming back from gradually. He's had an injury ridden last couple of years since he won the title in Tokyo. I also think he did well in the European Championships after Tokyo as well.
Yeah, there's a lot
but
of
injuries coming up in 6 days from now, And he's hoping that in front of his own crowd, he can get back into form. I also think that he's also started training with Rana Reader, the guy who used to train Andre de Grasse and Sonny James as well in the US. He's moved from Italy to US, and he said that has helped him a whole lot. And you cannot rule out Marcel Jacobs. I think he's a decent runner, although he's struggled to crack top 10 last couple of years. I think he did 10.01 or 2 injuries as well. But you look at others. There's Ferdinand Omanyala. There's Leslie Sebogo. There is Noah Lyles, who is I think it's a world champion as well. It's star-studded and
stacked field.
And I'm happy that Akani Simbine has peaked in the right time. Although he still feels that he still has one or
there's
two.
Frederick Omanyala there.
Yeah, there's Ferdinand Omanyala as well. But I like when Akani is in form, is unstoppable. Although I think one factor for Akani has been bad luck. Anytime he's been on the ebb of doing something, it just doesn't crack it. Since 2017 or so, he's always finished 4th, 5th. Even the year he cracked the African record, Omanyala months later smashed it again. So the theme of Akani has been bad luck, and I hope that he cracks it finally at Paris because he deserves it. Yeah.
I honestly think it would be great to finally see an African 100 meters world champion, but those pesky Americans and Jamaicans, they have plenty to say regarding that.
They do.
Well, moving on to what promises to be an absolutely explosive weekend of combat sports. Starting first with the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. It returns to this weekend with UFC 302, and this fight is headlining UFC 302. Islam Makhachev, he will be facing the Diamond himself, Dustin Poirier, and in what promises to be a fantastic lightweight clash between both men. And you can see both men having to be separated at the pre-fight press conference yesterday. I think it was Makhachev who said something, leaning in, saying something, mentioning something about Poirier's previous fights in Abu Dhabi. I think either the submission loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov or the TKO win over Conor McGregor. Well, Poirier himself responded by stating that he's not only going to defeat the Russian, but he's also going to finish him inside the distance. Now, that's fighting talk. Nobody has ever finished this man inside 5 rounds. Nobody has been able to stop this man. It's just important. Is it just fighting talk? But can he back it up? Can he walk the talk?
I don't know if he can back it up because recently he struggled against elite grapplers, Nurmagomedov, Oliveira. So that's why I'm worried for Poirier, because Makhachev comes in here with extra motivation, especially after what happened at the weigh-in and at the stare down. And
we hear that he's said Khabib Nurmagomedov will be in his corner for this fight.
So,
so that's going to put
Nurmagomedov definitely will be on Makhachev's corner for this one. Poirier can be one of the best trash talkers. Definitely talks a big game. He said he's going to slip stop Makhachev. I doubt if that's going to happen, but this is going to be exciting. UFC 302 can't get better, and trust me, if you think that this is the best, there's still some fights in the undercard.
Yeah, some real great fights in the undercard as well.
You cannot wait. I mean, UFC 302 is going to be massive. And I'm taking a look at the undercard, and the undercard is looking
stacked.
Oh, no, this is really, really stacked. There is the fight that comes up between let me see again. But Islam Makhachev, Dustin Poirier. There is Sean Strickland against Paulo Costa.
Yeah,
great fight.
That's a great fight.
That's a great fight.
Sean Strickland, for those who don't remember, was the one who actually defeated our very own Usman.
Usman. Not easy. I think it was easy. Yeah. And middleweight also, there's Kevin Holland against Mikhail Oleksichuk.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Kevin Holland never stops talking.
Oh, yeah.
Never stops
talking. So, Jelton Almeida takes on Romanov as well. These are fantastic fights, but
nothing comes close to this one.
Pick of the bunch is Dustin Poirier and Islam Makhachev. Trust me, this is going the distance.
That UFC 302, Wale believes it's going the distance.
Yeah.
I think it would not last 5 rounds. It is Makhachev winning by submission. Put your money on it. Still talking about combat sports, this Saturday as well, we'll see 2 prominent figures in the world of boxing finally looking to settle their long-standing rivalry when Queensberry's 5 best boxers faces off of Queensberry, of course, run by Frank Warren, face off this man's Matchroom's Eddie Hearn's 5 fighters. They'll be facing off in what is known as the Queensberry versus Matchroom 5 versus 5 5 fighters from both stables go head-to-head in a unique event in Riyadh, and just some of the fighters to feature. I mean, while you look at this card, there's Zhilei Zhang versus Deontay Wilder in the heavyweight division. Daniel Dubois versus Filip Hrgovic, heavyweight fight as well. Hamza Shiraz versus Austin Williams in the middleweight division. Dimitri Bivol, which is actually the headliner of this particular fight. Dimitri Bivol, he was supposed to fight
Beterbiev?
Artur Beterbiev for the undisputed light heavyweight crown, but unfortunately Beterbiev pulled out due to injury. But he will now be fighting Malik Zinad, who's originally from Libya, but he's fighting outside of France. They'll be fighting for Bivol's WBA light heavyweight title as well. Raymond Ford will fight Nick Ball for Ford's WBA featherweight title, while Willie Hutchinson will go up against Craig Richards in a light heavyweight clash. Now, these are some really good fights, but those top two there, top two, Zhilei Zhang versus Deontay Wilder, Daniel Dubois versus Filip Hrgovic, that fight, let's talk about the first fight first, Wale. Deontay Wilder, last chance on in for him. He's lost 2 consecutive fights. After this one, should he just pack it in?
I think so. But the unifying factor between Zhang and Parker, do you remember?
Yeah.
They both lost to Joseph Parker.
Yeah.
Who is also back in the heavyweights, in the mix. He's back in contention. And the thing I took from their losses to Parker is how they've been passive offensively. And that's very strange of Deontay Wilder. And that's why I fear this might be a snooze fest. Because both of them are always hesitant to really go. Zhang starts well, but runs out of gas much later in his fight. Deontay Wilder, we know, is a power puncher. In fact, both of them are power punchers. That's the truth.
But I mean, Johnny Wilder is still the man with the best
when was the last time we got
in the heavyweight division? 95% knockout ratio.
Yeah, we know that. But
that's
his last
stunning.
2 fights has been nothing. Parker lost, even against
Fury too?
Against Andy Ruiz. He only won it because he wasn't really convincing. So I can't remember last time Wilder was really convincing.
Has it been found out?
I think so.
Everybody has neutralized that right hander. Just stay away from the right hand. You can outbox him and you'll be fine.
He's a boxer who cannot mix it up. Like I said, his offensive input is just limited to that power punch. And once you get it, you're gone. And once you can avoid it, you are very much in the fight. So I think Zhang will definitely consider that. But I think this is going the distance, honestly. Unfortunately, back-to-back calls for me going the distance. That's why I see Zhilei Zhang against Deontay Wilder.
But what about this one, Daniel Dubois versus Filip Hrgovic? Now, that's a really good fight. Remember, Daniel Dubois lost contentiously to Alexander Usyk. Remember that punch that some deemed as a low blow?
That's a low blow, yeah.
I thought it was a legal punch, but hey, he eventually lost some points. Filip Hrgovic has been #1 contender for the IBF strap for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And now what we're hearing is that both men, this fight has now been upgraded to the interim. So
it's not a world title fight for now.
Yeah, it's not a title fight. But if this fight has now been elevated to interim status, whoever wins this will now be interim IBF champion. We heard that Alexander Usyk could have been stripped of this particular belt, which meant that this fight would have been a bona fide title fight. He could still be stripped. But what happens is, whoever wins this fight later on, he will now be elevated to IBF champion status. Now, what that means is sets the stage for a possible Wembley date against Anthony Joshua in September. If it's Daniel Dubois versus Anthony Joshua, an all-British fight that the British are
going to sell out Wembley, man.
Sell out.
Yeah, they're going to sell out Wembley. But I'm not too impressed with IBF's lack of clarity going into tomorrow's fight.
Exactly. Is the man stripped or is he not stripped?
Because right now what we're hearing is that the IBF granted Usyk exception to still hold on to the IBF despite trying to get a rematch, or despite the rematch with Fury that's coming up December 21. And with that exception, he can still hold his IBF until the IBF makes a determination on what happens to that belt. So Hrgovic is not happy right now because his final press conference before the fight against Dubois tomorrow, he was still not aware that the fight is not going to be a title fight, a world title fight, and he was like, why? He was really, not happy with that. But both still have to go in there knowing that whoever wins at a point in time is still going to be IBF champion or still going to have a shot at the IBF belt, which, you like it or not, if you're going to take on Usyk, either Dubois or Hrgovic, that's going to be a massive one. But I think Hrgovic is the favorite here, although Dubois looked decent.
Remember he stopped Big Baby Miller?
Charles Miller. he had a good timing against Jaimela, but Ergovic is stacked, man. I think he's the favorite here, and yeah, I think the big guy takes it out of Dubois.
Okay, well, that's the first half of the show. We've talked quite a few things. We've talked about basketball. Congratulations once again to Rivers Hoopers as well. And we just topped this off with some combat sports. This promises to be a stacked weekend. I don't know about you. I'm locking my doors, ordering food and getting the coldest drinks I can find because I'm going to be watching UFC and boxing all day. You're also watching Game On. We'll take a short break and return. It's football all the way. We'll also be looking at the battle for Europe. It's the UEFA Champions League final tomorrow in Wembley. London will fall, but will it fall to Borussia Dortmund or will it fall to Real Madrid? All this and more after the break. Thank you for staying tuned. You're still watching Game On here on News Central Television. It's time to talk football now. And of course, the Nigeria Professional Football League continues. Match day 34 was concluded with it's match day 34 this weekend. We have 4 matches to go before the conclusion of the NPFL. And there will be matches played on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Now, these are the matches tomorrow. Doma United will be entertaining Lobby Stars. Kano Pillars will be guests of Remo Stars, while it's Bendel Insurance versus Katsina United. These 3 matches will take place tomorrow. Of course, that game in Ikede is the standout fixture. Remo Stars, they are hunting down the top 2, Eyimba and Rangers International, trying to get into the, both of them, all 3 of them basically trying to win the title. Then there'll be matches on the Sunday as well. Let's tell you that Gombe United will be facing Sunshine Stars. Niger Tornadoes will battle Kwara United. Plateau United will be guests of Bayelsa United. Eyimba versus Rivers United. Now that is a big game in Aba, Wale. Big game. Rivers United, of course, one of the finest teams on the continent. They are not in with the title shout, but they could be a stumbling block, major stumbling block for Eyimba in the race for the title. Sporting Lagos versus Rangers International. That's another big game here in Lagos. Rangers need to get at least a draw from this game in order to keep their title hopes alive. So Sporting Lagos are still yet to win after replacing their coach.
No, they have.
They have won one game, yes, but they're still looking. They would love nothing better than to claim probably the biggest scalp in the league this season. Rangers have been phenomenal. Remember, they went on a 9 or 10 match unbeaten streak.
Run,
yeah, so that promised to be a really great game in at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Lagos. While Shooting Stars versus Abia Warriors in Ibadan, that's another really good game as well. Shooting Stars have been very, very good at home and away. Recall they nearly won away in Katsina United until they were undone by 115th minute goal. I'm not going to say much more than that. Then there will be matches on Monday as well. Just one match, Aqua United versus Heartland, a race against the drop. That match comes up on Monday. But Wale, Eyimba versus Rivers United, that's a massive game. Eyimba looking to close the gap on Rangers International, but they need to win. They need to win at home in order to be able to close that gap. That is a 4-point gap. I beg your pardon. No, it's actually it's a 4-point gap actually. This is incorrect. It's actually Rangers leading Eyimba with 4 points. So this table is actually incorrect. But it's Rangers, Eyimba, Remo Stars, and Shooting Stars. This is actually correct, but there is a small error on that table, so we'll not use that one. It's actually a 4-point gap. But Wale, Eyimba versus Rivers United, really good game.
Oh yeah, but unfortunately for Eyimba, it looks like Chijioke Mbauma, their top scorer, might be out of this. He got injured against Sokoto United in the President's Federation Cup round of 16 fixture during the week. So how they plan to cope without, and I think that their new coach Yemi is still not around. I think he's still in Scotland.
Yes, he's in Scotland.
He's in Scotland, still doing his badges. But they coped well. The first game without Finidi and Diema, they won the game, and that was away from him against Abia Warriors. And I think, like I said last week,
the FA Cup game against Sokoto United lost one, they lost 2 penalties in that game.
Yeah, as well. And I think the away win at Abia Warriors in the league last week
really good
might just be the turning point in the title race, because what it means is that Rangers have got a tough one against Sporting Lagos. If they lose that game and Eyimba to win, it becomes a 1-point game with 4 matches, to go. So expect plenty of twists and turns. I think Sporting Lagos will give Rangers massive worry. But if Rangers are going to win this league, then they have to come and do it in Lagos. I think if they win, it's game, set, match for the league. As far as the NPFL this is concerned, I think Rangers win the league if they win in Lagos, this weekend. Shooting Stars are one of the form teams in the NPFL right now. They've also qualified for the quarterfinals of the Federation Cup as well. I think that they should win this one. a top 6 finish for Shooting Stars will be considered a massive success. It doesn't guarantee continental football.
But if they win the Federation Cup, I think they will be happy with that.
I will be happy.
Continental football will be back in Ibadan.
I will be happy because also it means that a very historical team has won an historical competition. And that Shooting Stars, I mean, winning also brings back the memories of when they used to be big in the cup.
Sorry, Wale, I think I'm actually getting reports from my producer. Actually, Shooting Stars actually out of the Federation Cup.
Oh, to El Canemo, I believe. Yeah, I think they lost. So apologies for that. But they are still doing well in the league, actually. Another game to look out for is Remo Stars. It's a must-win game. I think right now Remo Stars are just trying to say, can we get CAF Champions League football? I don't think that's about the league. Yeah, no, I think Remo have tasted CAF Champions League football. And they like the taste. They had a decent run until they lost to...
Decent? They never even made it to the group stage.
Yeah, of course. It's difficult to crack the group stage. Even the Aibas are struggling to get to the group stages.
We have Mauritanian clubs that get into the group stage.
Yeah.
We have Botswanan clubs that get into the group stage.
These are teams that are far ahead of Nigerian teams in their projects, in their funding. Remo Stars also will get there. Remo Stars are lacking know-how right now in the CAF. But by the time they master
once they crack it,
yeah.
You get the impression that there'll be a really tough side on the continent. Let's move on. Talking about the continent, we heard that Al Ahly star Hussein El Shahat has been sentenced to 1 year in prison with a fine of 100,000 Egyptian pounds for assaulting Pyramids Mohamed Chibi last summer. The ruling follows a complaint filed by Chibi regarding the final match day in the previous season in which Pyramids beat Al Ahly 3-0 in a dead rubber game because Al Ahly had already won the Egyptian Premier League title by then. But however, tensions still rose between both players and coaching staff of both teams, with Chibi being the center of attention after being involved in more than one altercation with Al Ahly players. And following the end of the game, Hussein Al Shahat was seen slapping Chibi as the Al Ahly player claimed that the Moroccan insulted him and his family. Well, what can I say? It's North Africans' passions always run high.
And that's the latest rivalry now. Al Ahly and Pyramids. It's a budding rivalry.
Someone says Zamalek are back in the mix now. Of course, we did have our friend Hossam Mustafa who said that Zamalek are back. So that is the rivalry we know in Egyptian football. But it's always good if you have a third force in Egypt.
Oh, yeah. And Pyramids are a legit third force here.
Yeah. Well, let's leave the CAF Champions League behind and talk about the UEFA Champions League, which is the premier club competition in the world. And this weekend, we'll see the crowning of another champion. Real Madrid will be up against Borussia Dortmund in Wembley Stadium. It's a great game to look forward to. Real Madrid are serial winners of this competition, but Borussia Dortmund have also won it before. I mean, just once, but against all odds, they made it to the final this year. Not too many people are giving them a chance. Would it be Real Madrid adding to their multiple titles, or will it be Borussia Dortmund winning just their second title? Well, joining us from Valencia in Spain is Stan Kamaliev. He's a sports journalist with Espera Hermano. He also runs his own podcast at Espera Hermano. Thank you so much, Stan the Man, like I like to call him, for joining us tonight on Game On. Promises to be a great game, this one. It's Borussia Dortmund against Real Madrid, the underdogs against the Galacticos, the superpowers of European football. It's well set up for possible upset, you think?
Good evening, gentlemen. Well, I would say that it is set up for an upset, but you have Real Madrid to deal with. And when Real Madrid is on the cards, it's hard to go against them in this competition. You know, they're the kings of the Champions League. They're going for their 15th title. I mean, if you add up all the titles won by English clubs, you're not even getting to 14. So imagine the feat that the Spanish Giants are coming up. And, you know, they're the favorites. They're the huge favorites ahead of this game. They have the know-how. You know, it's going to be the last hooray for Toni Kroos, possibly one of the best midfielders of the generation. So there's a special occasion to play for as well. But let's not, count Borussia Dortmund out because, as you said, they deservedly got to this stage. They've dealt with the group of death. Let's not forget they were, with PSG, with the likes of Newcastle, Milan, and they were first in their group to come out. Then they dealt with the likes of Atletico Madrid and PSG on the way to the final. So they're not without their merit in this competition. And I just hope that it's going to be a great football match and that it's going to leave this football season on a high.
Well, when talking about Real Madrid, you look at them, it's a team that is replete with some of the finest players in the world. And it is going to get better with the addition of Kylian Mbappe next season. But you look at the coach, Don Carlo Ancelotti, who's won multiple titles with several clubs as well. You look at Vini Jr., who some have said arguably has been one of the best players in Europe, probably the best player in Europe. But you also have to talk about Jude Bellingham. The Englishman has been a breath of fresh air, playing a much more different, more advanced role, and has just been voted the Spanish Player of the Year. It's very difficult to bet against them, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a magnificent season for Jude Bellingham. You know, it's his first season in Real Madrid. There's not that many players that come and, you know, set the place on fire in their first season. You know, Real Madrid is a huge club. The badge weighs a lot. But Jude, from the moment that he stepped at the Santiago Bernabeu, it seemed like, you know, this jersey was made for him. And he took the Zidane number 5 and never looked back. You know, 2 goals to decide the Clásicos, you know, 3rd in the Pichichi, in the highest goal scorer ranks in La Liga this season. And this new role that Carlo Ancelotti seemed to invent for him has seen him flourish and get goals and assists. And he's been prolific all season. You know, he's helped Real Madrid secure the league month in advance, even over a month in advance. So, you know, Real Madrid's already having a successful season being the Spanish champions. So another title will make it a double, will add to Carlo Ancelotti's illustrious collection. I think that's going to be what his 5th Champions League.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Like you said, it's really hard to bet against this team. I have sympathy for Borussia Dortmund. You know, I was able to go to the Signal Iduna Park this season and experience a bit of the atmosphere and the German, the yellow wall, as they call it. And they also have a sentimental thing to play for, right? With their legend, Royce, playing his last game for the club. So 2 Germans that are going to have a proper send-off in this last game of the Champions League. I don't know. I just have a sneaky feeling that maybe this is the season that the finals are won by the underdogs. You know, we saw an upset in the FA Cup final. We saw a bit of an upset in the Atalanta-Leverkusen game, even though I thought Atalanta was, you know, a little bit underestimated before that final. We saw Olympiacos win against the, you know, Fiorentina, a team that was twice in the final. So maybe, just maybe, this is the year where Borussia Dortmund will lift the trophy.
Yeah, the year of the underdog is being called. What do you think?
I stand, and it's actually the 20th anniversary when FC Porto also won the Champions League. So, and that was an underdog, a proper underdog back in 2004. But Stan, I wanted to ask you, I personally think that, you know, Real Madrid, since they won La Novena, that's their 9th title in 2000, they went on a run where there was a lot of bad luck. You know, they were losing semi-finals. I'm not sure if they got to the semi-final. I think they lost in the quarterfinal round of 16. But everything changed in 2014 when Carlo Ancelotti won La Decima. Now, since La Decima, Real Madrid have gone on to win, you know, 5 more Champions League titles. Now they're going in for La Quinceañera. That's the 15th. Do you think that winning La Decima was very, very crucial to launch Real Madrid into another era of European domination?
Yes, 100%, and especially in the context that it happened against their city rivals. Yeah. You know, 1-0 down until the 93rd minute, getting that Ramos goal to inspire them, and then eventually, you know, smash Atletico Madrid in the extra time. Yes, like you said, they had a bit of a monkey on their back for a lot of seasons. You know, even the Galacticos. A lot of people remember, you know, the Figos and Zidanes and, you know, Makelele, that amazing Real Madrid team. But, you know, some forget that they didn't actually win European glory. You know, they won La Liga and they were fun to watch, but they never actually achieved European glory. So it just goes to show that sometimes it's not about the players. It's a bit of luck, a bit of momentum. And like you said, 2014 changed their fortunes. Then we had that trilogy of Zidane, absolutely magnificent achievement. You know, the era of Ronaldo as well helped. I think possibly the greatest Real Madrid player next to Alfredo Di Stefano. And they just had an amazing few years. You know, I think a lot of credit has to go to Florentino Perez and the management he's done. You know, this team has managed to win titles and also managed to transition. Look at that midfield. A few years ago, we were talking about Casemiro, Modric, and Kroos. Now we're talking about Real Madrid of the Chouameni's, the Camavingas, the Bellinghams. And, meanwhile, a lot of teams, when they change generations, when they transition teams, they go through periods where, there's drought. Look at Man United, look at teams like Chelsea. We're talking about years of kind of crisis and rebuilding. For Real Madrid, it just seems like they never stopped. They never looked back. They just kept adding smart business in the summer. Players like invested in young players like Vinicius and Rodrigo. That's paid off for them. He invested in their midfield. They had a few maybe hiccups along the way with the likes of Hazard and Jovic, but most of the time they've been right with their transfers. And as you rightfully mentioned, this summer it's only going to add to this roster with Mbappe and Endrick. You just seem to think, what is this team got to go for from here? It's a bright future for Real Madrid, and let's see if they can take it over the line and win their 15th tomorrow.
Yeah, I wanted to also quickly talk to you about Thibaut Courtois and Andre Lunin. Carlo Ancelotti finally has come out and say, hey, Thibaut Courtois starts at Wembley tomorrow night. What did you make of that decision? Because we know how Lunin has been transformational, for Real Madrid in the Champions League.
Do you feel hard done by?
Yeah,
if
he agreed that he doesn't start?
He did pretty much all the work to get them to the final. He should be starting.
It's a bit harsh. Because I think he's one of the few players that has a big contribution for Real Madrid even being here. He's had some stellar performances in the quarterfinal stages and in the semifinal against Man City, that game at the Etihad. He was one of the main culprits of Real Madrid keeping a clean sheet. And you do feel harsh for Andre Lunin and how he stepped up, because remember at the beginning of the season, Real Madrid signed Kepa. A lot of people kind of assumed that, okay, Courtois is injured, Kepa's probably coming in to be that number one. But Lunin's really worked for his position. He's been on loan for a few seasons before that as well. He stayed at the club, not looking for a transfer out. He's proven himself, and he's had an absolutely brilliant season. But to be honest, I do understand where Ancelotti is coming from. Courtois is an absolute beast in goal. Remember last final that Real Madrid was involved in against Liverpool? He was the MVP of the match.
Please,
it was man of the match.
Remind me. Do not remind me.
He made 8 saves in that game.
Forget about Vinicius scoring the goal. It was all about Courtois just pulling out wordies against Liverpool. So I do think that you have to go with the experienced head in goal. But let me tell you, if something happens, if a defensive mistake, if a goalkeeping mistake happens in that final, we know what all the talk is going to be about after the final whistle.
Yeah, but before everybody accuses of being Madridistas, we also have to talk about Borussia Dortmund, a team that didn't even finish in the top 3 in the Bundesliga. Nobody gave them a chance of getting this far. They navigated some really tough opposition, but against all odds, they are in the final and are definitely in with a shout of possibly upsetting Real Madrid. And what in your opinion, what has been the strength of this this particular Borussia Dortmund team? They don't have any standout players. They don't have the Haalands. Well, maybe Sancho to a lesser extent. But it seems as if the whole is much greater than any particular individual. Or it could be that they're just relying on the sheer, tactical brilliance of their coach.
I think so, yeah. Most credit has to go to Edin Terzic and the way he's been able to adapt to teams and his style of play, because we've seen him take a different approach, against PSG. He was very conservative, using the spaces in behind and on both flanks, as you said, Jadon Sancho, Adeyemi on the left. I think that's probably their biggest strengths. They have these wingers that are very direct, very vertical. They like to dribble. They like to go in. They have a number 9 that's capable of scoring goals. That Fulkrug goal against PSG was a well-taken goal from a number 9. And they have hard-working midfield. Chan, we know him from his days in the Premier League as well. He's experienced. Hummels in the back, another kind of old head that probably has something to prove now that he's not been selected for the Germany squad. A bit of a surprise, to be honest. Schlotterbeck next to him. Yeah, they're just a good unit. They work together. As you said, they're arguably probably less quality team than that 2013 Borussia Dortmund finalist, that had a bit more stars around around them, but they have a few people that have something to prove. You know, you mentioned Jadon Sancho. Just look at the season, you know, he's had. And just to think at the start of the season, not playing at Man United, training with the reserves, to turn around your season the way he did and go into that final, it's going to be unbelievable to see him there and with a chance to win the Champions League. And I think Real Madrid fans should be cautious. You know, this is the Champions League final. Dortmund deserves to be there. They also have a Champions League in their history. It's not like it's the first time they get to the heights.
Oh yeah,
you know, finals. They know what it is to be there, and they have the fans. I think that's the biggest plus for this team. You know, I've been to Dortmund, and Dortmund, believe me, it's a really small town. There's nothing exciting going on there. It's just an old factory town, and everyone just loves and breeds football in that town. So they're gonna be behind their team. It's gonna be a KG1. I don't expect a lot of goals, to be honest. I think it's going to be one goal to win it. And to be honest, even though I'm based in Spain and Real Madrid are heavy favorites, I do like the story of Royce, and I wouldn't mind him scoring the winning goal and Borussia Dortmund upsetting the Spanish giants tomorrow.
Oh, please, Stan, do not go out if that happens. I beg you, do not leave your house if that happens, because you will be held responsible for that particular one. But very quickly before we go, Stan, we have to talk about a few other European stories. It's very hard to get a man like Stan, the man on the show, and not talk about these quick football stories. Jose Mourinho, we heard today, will be joining Fenerbahce as their new coach. He signed a contract to join them up until 2027. Well, 2-year contract. He could extend it to 2027. Is it the way down for Mourinho? This is a man who's managed the likes of Chelsea, Internazionale, Milan, Real Madrid, Manchester United. But you look at the kind of clubs that he's handling since then, the likes of Tottenham Hotspur, Roma. No disrespect to them, but Fenerbahce, is it the downward curve for Mourinho?
I think it's the realistic choice. I think it's where he is at this point of his career, and that's fine. I think sometimes you need to realize, listen, I'm probably not cut out to be on the top level every single day. You know, he's still proven himself at Roma, especially in the European games. You know, took them to 2 finals in a row and showed his pedigree. But I think in the league, to be honest, it was a bit sad watching him because, you know, every single week it was
he was
talking
in the
to
news
the refs,
for something,
suspensions, yellow cards. So you just get the feeling like maybe it's time to step down to, you know, the second tier of European football. But listen, Fenerbahce is a huge club in Turkey, and just look across the border in Greece and Olympiacos and what Mendilibar has done there. You know, the Spanish coach, ex-coach of Sevilla, he went there in February.
Yes.
You know, no one thought that he's going to be talked about, but he's got another trophy in the bag. So why not Mourinho? He's going to have Europe at his disposal. I don't know if Fenerbahce, I believe they're in the Champions League, or they have a chance to get in the Champions League. So he's going to be involved in there, and I think he's probably also waiting for his big national job. To be honest, I think I see him to kind of
take it up in national team job
with being a national coach
pretty soon. Maybe even Portugal. But very quickly, starting just one word on this one. Antonio Conte returns to the Serie A. He'll be joining Napoli. Great move for Napoli. 3-year deal we hear for Antonio Conte as well.
Yeah, big statement signing for me. After the shambles of last season and the 3 coaches that Napoli had, and De Laurentiis had an absolute nightmare managing this champion Napoli team, I think now he's gone back and showing that he's serious, because we know when you're appointing Conte, that means you're backing him. That means you're going to be going into the market and you're going to be making decisions. I think also Napoli not being in Europe is going to help them. We know how Conte, you know, in his Chelsea days, he made them champions without being in Europe. So 1 game a week, invest in some big moves in the summer. We expect Osimhen to possibly go. Maybe one of the few other stars go. Rebuild this team. And to be honest, I see big things for this Napoli team. If De Laurentiis spends the money, this Napoli team can be champion in the next 2-3 years.
Yeah. We'll be speaking to Stan Kamalev, our good friend, all the way from Valencia, Spain. Thank you so much, Stan. It's been a pleasure listening to your take on the UEFA Champions League final and also on European football. Thank you so much, Stan.
Thank you, guys. A pleasure to have you, and let's enjoy a beautiful final tomorrow.
Hey, that's true. Well, Wale, thank you so much for joining us on the show. It's been a great one. It's frenetic toward the end, but I enjoyed having Stan on the show. Thank you to the guys behind the scenes who also made this possible. But before we go, let's tell you the rather interesting story of Ivor Brodis, a player-manager who sold himself to another club in 1949 to boost the finances of the team he was leaving. Yeah, at 23 years of age, Brodis became the youngest player-manager I mean, he was player and also the manager of the team ever when he went to Carlisle United in 1946. But with the club's finances showing some worrying signs, he saw a chance to leave for a financial legacy for Carlisle, and he sold himself. He sanctioned his own sale to Sunderland Football Club for £18,000. And after a career that saw him win 18 England caps and also took him to Manchester City, he returned to Carlisle later on as a journalist for a local newspaper. Well,
for the greater good.
For the greater good. Sacrifice himself for the greater good. That's our show this evening on Game On. It's been fun, it's been entertaining, but we'll be doing this again on Monday. We just want to wish you a wonderful sporting weekend. Plenty to look forward to for the weekend. My name is Babatunde Kweki. Wishing you a great night. We'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.